Hi guys, welcome to my channel, The Golden Traveler. I'm Cindy, and today we're going to be talking about some mistakes that could ruin your cruise. Now, cruises are a wonderful way to take a vacation, but let's take a look at some mistakes that even seasoned cruisers continue to make. Number one, overpacking or underpacking. Unfortunately, it's not always easy to figure out what the right amount of clothes are to pack for your cruise. So it's quite easy to make this mistake that I always do. So some tips are to plan your outfits in advance and bring versatile clothing pieces that can be mixed and matched together. So maybe a skirt you can wear to the dining room with a blouse you already have that you can wear with slacks or jeans or other things like that. Check the weather before your trip to make sure what it's going to be in the ports that you're going to be at. That helps also. I always check our weather when we're going to be, especially in Alaska. When last trip it rained the whole time and I had to take extra rain gear of everything. So just check that. I know I'm always an overpacker because I always think, well, if I spill something on this, I need another shirt for this or another pair of pants. It's really hard to pack and we can't overpack. But if you mix and match clothing, it will help. Or if you even plan out, well, this day I plan on wearing this day I plan on wearing this, it might help you out with your packing dilemma. Number two is eating too often at the buffet. There's a large variety of food at the buffet. However, cruise ships have so many very, very good places to eat, and a lot of passengers just get stuck going to the buffet only, and they don't eat anywhere else. They think it's easy to get in and out and, then go on with their day. But they're missing out on some good food they could be trying and experiencing that maybe they've never tried before and would want to. Things at the main dining room or specialty restaurants are going to be so much better than the buffet food and safer, not to mention. We don't eat at buffets because of all the germs, nobody washing their hands, everybody's touching the same tongs. I would much prefer to go to the dining room. I would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, or to go to some of the little coffee shops on board for sandwiches and things. But you can try such unique things in the dining room. Now, I'm not one that really tries these various things. I'm kind of almost like a vegetarian, but I do eat chicken. I know that's not a vegetarian. I eat chicken and turkey, and that's it. I don't eat beef or pork or things like that. So, but things that my granddaughter, who's 15 now, and my son, who have tried on a ship, such as escargot and duck, and so many things that they've never had before, frog legs that they try on the ship and really like or don't like. But it's a good experience to be able to try these things when they're included in the price of the ship. So just by eating at the buffet every day, you're missing out on some of this experience and some of the really good food you could be trying. Number three is booking too many excursions. Now, of course, you want to get the most out of your cruise, and maybe you're never going to be back to these ports again. So you try to book as many excursions as you can. Now, for two reasons, this could be too much. Number one is a lot of excursions are very, very expensive, especially in Alaska. Some of those excursions up there are over $1,000 a person. And I just can't afford to do those with three of us. Or another reason is that a lot of these excursions go in large groups and they're on time schedules. So maybe you're there looking at something and you want to look at it longer, but no, time to go. We got to get out of here. Or you're in such a big group, you can't even get up there and see what you want to see. So we have found, and a lot of people found, at least in some of the ports, to just explore on your own. Get off the ship, go to one of the visitor centers there in town. They always have them. Get some literature of what's in the area And then you can get yourself to a lot of those things that would be on a tour by yourself, by yourself. Take a taxi, take an Uber or Lyft, and go see what you want on your time. So you're not rushed to leave. You get to explore. You get to walk around and look at things. So don't just take all your time up on excursions. Then you really never get to see the town themselves. We always get out in the town and explore and go to different things in the town we could. Like in Sitka, we had never been there before. Of course, it was pouring down raining on our trip, but we still went to the historical forest and hiked through there. It was covered by trees, so we didn't feel the rain in there. They have beautiful totem poles through there. We went to a tide pool like aquarium there that was free, and just walked around the town and found wonderful things to do without paying for an expensive excursion, especially when it's in the rain and it kind of puts a damper on your excursion. So just get out there and see things on your own. Number 4 is avoiding seasickness precautions. Now make sure you always bring some kind of seasickness medicine with you. You never know if you're going to get sick or not, especially if it's your first cruise and you're just not sure. Now luckily I don't get seasickness. My son and granddaughter usually don't, but on our last trip we were in the getting ready for the show to start, which is always at the very front of the ship, and we were really rocking. And it affected my son's head where he got a bad headache and had to leave and go lay down. Well, I happened to carry some wristbands with me. I'll put a picture up here of them to put pressure points on your wrist there, and those really helped him. So make sure you take something like that, or Bonine or Dramamine. Now you would take both of those beforehand so that, if you don't wait till you get sick and then take those. You have to take those beforehand. But things like these wristbands or patches behind your ear that you wear your whole cruise, or speak to your doctor about what would be the best for you in case you get seasick. You can always go on the ship and get some green apple or ginger tea, and those will help also. Number 5 is not booking in advance. Now, never wait till you're on board to book things like the drink package, specialty dining, spa treatments, and excursions. You'll pay more on the ship for these, and a lot of times they're sold out. I just heard a video of a couple complaining it was their first Princess cruise, and they had a lot of complaints about it. And one of them was they had taken the premier drink package, which included specialty dining, but they didn't book any of the specialty dining. They thought, well, we'll figure it out when we get on board because we don't know. We're going to be in port. We don't know what time we're going to eat. Well, they got on board and everything was sold out except for one dinner, one restaurant at 8 o'clock at night. So you don't want to do that. Just try to figure out, okay, if I'm going on this excursion, I'll be back at this time and I'll book my dinner, or book your dinner on a day when you're out to sea, but book these things ahead of time so that you can get into them. A lot of the cruise ships require reservations for certain shows that are on board. Like on Royal Caribbean, we had to book Spectra's Cabaret months before we got on board. It's sold out for every night. So make sure you're going onto the app and checking these things that you need to book. Our cruise is not until November, and we always do a set time dining, usually an early setting. Well, the only set time dinings they had left in the dining room for this was 2 of them. 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and that was it. They're already booked since November. So I booked the 5 o'clock. We like to eat early because that way we can get to a show afterwards. Usually the shows are like 7:30 or something. So make sure and book these things beforehand, before they sell out and while they're still cheaper, because you will pay more for all these things on the ship. And the dining, if you don't book your set dining beforehand, you're probably going to have to go wait in a line for my time dining or something like that. Number 6 is travel insurance. Now, many travelers just think this is an extra expense that they don't need. I know way back in the day, my husband and I never took travel insurance, never even thought about taking travel insurance. But nowadays, I hear so many stories about it and the things that can happen, and you just never know what can happen. But the prices to even go to a medic and get like Tylenol, or you have a headache or sniffles or a cold, it's so expensive. And if you have something major happen to you on a ship, I know people have spent like $10,000 or more. And to get evacuated off a ship by helicopter if something's seriously wrong, can you imagine that fee you're going to pay? So make sure travel expense insurance isn't that expensive. You can either book it through the cruise line or other outside vendors. Just look into that and see what their prices are and compare them and make sure they're covering everything, all your medical, evacuation insurance, anything like that. But it's very important to get travel insurance. If something ever happened to you, then you would realize, yes, this was really, really worth it. Number 7 is booking flights. Now, booking a flight the same day you're flying to your cruise can be risky. A lot of times flights are delayed or worse, they're canceled. What would happen then? You would miss your cruise that you've already booked, already paid for. You probably have hotels booked and everything booked. So if possible, do not fly the same day or travel the same day unless you're really close to a port. You can drive there in an hour or two. But if you're traveling anywhere by train, plane, bus, whatever, try to go the day before, stay in a hotel. We always do this. Just because airplanes nowadays have so many cancellations and so many delays that you might miss the ship, and you don't want to do that. Another thing is booking your flight too early on disembarkation day when you're getting off the ship. A lot of people have booked their flight, like say 9 or 10 in the morning, and then you're not off the ship in time. Don't do that. Book a late flight as late as you can, because you never know. There's delays. You've got to go through customs when you get off the ships. Things can happen. So don't book a flight early in the morning when you think you'll be off the ship, but you may not be, because then you'll miss your flight. We always stay the day before and day after. That's just what I always do, because then I'm not stressing about trying to get to an airport, or anything like that. I know not everybody can do that. They work or things like that. Number 8 is not respecting crew members. Now, cruise members work very incredibly hard and long hours with little pay to ensure passengers have a great time. I have never, ever, in all the cruises and all the years I've been cruising, been on a cruise where any of the crew member was nothing more than pleasant to me, helpful to me. I've never had a problem with a crew member, ever. Usually I'm praising them and writing comments after about, certain ones with their names, our dining room waiters and such. But some people are just so rude to crew members, taking things out on them that they can't even help, yelling at them, belittling them in front of other guests and things. Don't do that. If you have an issue, quietly talk to a supervisor. If it's something in that area, say you're in your restaurant and your food was cold or something when it came out, don't yell at the server that brought it out to you. They're just bringing the plate out. Maybe talk to a supervisor instead of standing there yelling at him in front of everyone. Or it's something that the crew member doesn't even have part of, go to guest services and take it up with them. But please don't yell at these crew members. They work very hard, and that is just rude to do that. Number 9, failure to unplug. Now, cruise ships are a perfect opportunity to disconnect from the digital world and relax. Although I know in this day and age, people don't do that. They've got to have their cell phone all the time. They've got to have their laptops. They've got to have, all their devices. If possible, unless you're working or need to be in the contact with back home, you don't need these devices. You're on vacation. You went on a cruise to enjoy the cruise, not to be on your phone all day. You see people walking around reading their phone all day long, especially kids. They're on their devices all day playing games and things. Luckily, my granddaughter, who also makes YouTube videos, and she makes them all before we go, and she plays games and things on there. She doesn't even have Wi-Fi on the ship on her phone. She does all her videos before we leave, has them set up to post. She's never on her phone when we're on vacation, not even in the hotel room, not anywhere. So she disconnects. She's a teenager and she can disconnect from her tablet. You can too, unless you have to work and you have to have that on. I always have Wi-Fi only on my phone because I need to be in contact with people back home, like my daughter or people taking care of my dog, in case something were to happen. But I'm not on my phone all the time, other than to post videos for you guys. But that's the only time I'm on my phone. If you need it, get it. If you don't, just relax. Enjoy the sights, the sounds, the music, everything on the cruise, and get off that phone. Number 10 is ignoring travel documents and requirements. A common mistake is not to check your documents long before you're departing, especially your passport. Now, a lot of countries won't let you cruise if your passport's going to expire in like 6 months from your travel date. So make sure that you're well before the expiration date to be able to travel. Check those documents out way beforehand. Make sure you have all the proper documents you need, depending on where you're going. Make sure you look into that on the cruise ship. A lot of times if there's children traveling with you and no parent is going, you need a letter from the parent, sometimes notarized, sometimes not. So make sure you have things like that. I know a grandmother took her granddaughter once and got denied boarding because she didn't have that letter to take her grandchild with her. So, and a lot of times if only one parent is traveling, they'll say the other parent needs to sign a letter. So you've got to be careful of everything that you need to have to get on the ship, and make sure all your documents are already filled out ahead of time, that you've done them on the app. I know my documents for November, I had to fill them all out online. I got a check mark saying we're ready to go. We're ready to get on the cruise when the time comes, that everything is filled out that they need. So just make sure you've got everything you need. Check with the cruise line if you're not sure. Don't just go on Facebook and ask someone in your group, do I need this? Do I need that? They do not always have the answer. I don't understand why people why they get on Facebook and ask these hard questions that they need to know, that are important questions, instead of calling the cruise line who will have the correct answer. They're just taking a stranger's word for it. And then they get to the cruise and they're like, well, Betty said I didn't need this. Well, Betty's wrong. So make sure everything's filled out, you have proper documents, and make sure you don't pack your passports and things like that in with your luggage when you go to get on the ship. Carry it in your bag with you. I always have a little document bag, a folder I take that I got off Amazon that holds all of our passports, all of our cruise ship documents. I always print them out and I have them on my phone both. And I keep them all in this folder. And I usually carry a tote bag on with me or a large purse. And I have them in my bag because if you pack it in your luggage, you're not going to get on the cruise ship. Your luggage is gone. So make sure you have those with you. Make sure everything's filled out and you'll have a wonderful trip. So there's some tips of some mistakes you could be making that might help you, or maybe not. It depends on the person. So I want to thank you all for stopping by today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to my video to help me grow. And I'll see you all again real soon on my channel, The Golden Traveler. Bye for now. Have a wonderful day.